Hello boys and girls, mums and dads, welcome to episode 9 of Explorers. I know, it's hard to believe, episode 9 already. Next one, episode 10, double digits, crazy. But anyway, for this episode, we are back in our series. Can you remember it? That's right, animals in the Bible. Now, here's a test for you. Who can remember what animal was in the story last week? Yeah, not bad. Can you remember the story though? Come on, yeah. Yeah, and then that bit happened, yeah. Yeah, okay, not bad. What happened? Pretty good. That's right, last week we had a sheep in the story. 2 weeks ago, what animal was it? It was a snake. But what animal is going to be in the story for this episode? Well, let's head on over to Coyote Keith to find out which one. G'day boys and girls, my name's Coyote Keith. Welcome to Wildlife Explorers. Now I've been out here in the wild on a bit of a look, and I've stumbled across, well you'll not believe it. I've stumbled across a lion, Wallimer Blue. Look at the thing. This lion, you need to be careful. Shh. If we disturb a lion like this, then it could get aggressive, and you don't want. Whoa! Now this lion, here's a bit of information about lions. A group of lions, they're living in a pride. And, well, lions, they weigh about 30 stone, and, whoa! They can eat up to 40 kilos of meat in one go. Now, I'm gonna see if I can get in close to this thing. Whoa! Okay. Whoa, okay. Gotta be careful. So, boys and girls, it's time for Coyote's quiz question of the week. Now, the question this week for you to answer back home is: out in the wild, wildlife explorers can estimate the age of a lion by what? Is it by the tuft of hair on the lion's tail? As I'll try and show you. Oh, risky. Is it by the tuft of hair on the lion's tail? Is it by the dark spots on the lion's back? Is it by the color of the lion's nose? Or is it by the color of the lion's mane? What do you think? A few seconds at home. Whoa. Well, boys and girls, the answer to the quiz question of the week is the color of the nose. It's the color of the lion's nose. Now, I'm feeling like we need to bolt from here because I think this lion. Whoa! Cut the camera! Cut the camera! Coyote, can you hear me? Okay, I can confirm we've lost all connection with Coyote's film team. Hopefully he's okay. You'll have to come back next week to see if he made it out alive there. But man, he risks his life for this job. Crazy. He's a very brave guy. But we are going to head straight into our story. He's shown us the animal for this week. Yes, it's a lion. So let's look at our story in the Bible featuring, that's right, a lion. Daniel in the lion's den. This can be found in Daniel chapter 6 in the Bible.
My name is King Darius, and I am in charge of this kingdom of Babylon. I have devised the most fantastic plan to rule the kingdom. I have 120 people who are in charge of all the different things that go on within the kingdom. But above these, I have 3 special supervisors. And of these 3, one is very, very special. His name is Daniel. And I've got a very special plan for Daniel. Daniel? Come here.
Yeah. Yes, King, yes.
Hello, how are you?
Yes, King. I'm very good, thank you. Are you doing well?
I am good, thank you, Daniel.
Good.
I am very impressed with how you're doing.
Good, thank you, King.
I have been thinking of some very special plans. I think you should be the second in command over the whole of this kingdom. I think it should be you. I'm just thinking of it and how it would work. You'd be in charge of a lot of the day-to-day runnings of the whole kingdom. But I'm just thinking about it at the moment. Just thought I'd tell you.
Yeah, well, you take your time to think over that, King, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you for telling me, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Be on with what you're doing.
Thank
you.
But during that whole conversation, some of the king's other supervisors had heard the whole thing.
Cannot believe it! That chuffing Daniel!
He just
Did
always
you hear
thinks-
that? The king is going to give Daniel that right good job.
Every time!
Oh, it's just, he does my head in that, Daniel.
It's ridiculous!
He's just so good at everything.
Everything
He's
he does.
always on time to work. He always has the right answer.
Every time!
He's so polite. He always says his please
has
and
manners
thank yous.
beyond.
It's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. What are we going to do? Have you got a plan?
I tell you what, he always does. He always does that praying lark, doesn't he?
He does!
He always prays to his God. 3 times a day he does it. I think that's how we're going to have to trap him.
Yeah.
Let's get him in trouble.
That's a good idea.
To do with that praying. Let's go to the king now.
Let's go.
Come on, let's speak to Darius.
So they went to the king to trick him to sign a new law.
King Darius.
King Darius.
Live forever, King Darius. Now, we know that you're just such a wise and amazing king.
Very wise.
And because you're so wise, we've come up with this new law. Here it is, you see. Now, we think that because you're so good, King Darius,
So good.
that people should only pray to you for the next 30 days and no one else.
Only you.
But if they do pray to anybody else, they'll be thrown in lion's den. Because, you deserve the praise, because you're just such a good king.
You're amazing.
And we think that, this new law will give you lots of praise. Oh, and it'll make you very popular among the people. Here you are, King Darius. This is a pen. Now, if you just sign here. Just all the way around with that pen, that's the one. That just here. Alright, and just here. Yeah, perfect. Oh, and just one more there. Yeah, and just one here. Yeah, and just one here. And just don't worry about that small print. That's excellent. Right, very good. Well, King Darius, live forever. Thank you.
Daniel soon heard the news about the new law. Oh no. I've just heard the news about this new law that the king's passed. Well, I'm going to have to do what I always do when I hit trouble. I'm going to go home straight away and I'm going to ask God for help. I need to pray. I'm off. So Daniel went home right away. He went upstairs and with his windows open, he began to pray, asking God for help.
Oi! There's Daniel! He's praying to his God, he's not praying to King Darius! Let's get him!
And so the advisors who were jealous of Daniel had trapped him, and they took him before the king.
Get in there!
Whoa!
King Darius, may you live forever. Look, this Daniel here, he's been praying to his God. We just seen him up at his bedroom window praying 3 times a day, and you've just signed this new law saying that nobody can pray to any other god or person except you, King Darius.
But that wasn't the reason why I signed the law. Not for Daniel. Daniel's my finest advisor.
Never mind that. Look, we've got this new law here, and you've signed it all over here and here and here and here.
Is there nothing that can be done?
No, absolutely not. And that's what it says in the law. You can't go back on it. That's what it says just there, look, in that fine print.
Daniel,
He needs to be thrown in the lion's den.
Daniel, I'm
right
so
now.
sorry. There's nothing that can be done.
King, don't worry, King. My God will protect me, don't worry.
Come on, Daniel.
No.
Get in that den.
Don't worry, King.
Off with you.
So they took Daniel to the lion's den, but he
Come
still
on, Daniel.
trusted God.
Into the lion's den. By Jove, they're looking hungry. They're going to eat you right. Get in there. Looks like I'm going to have that new job now.
Daniel, may the God who you serve rescue you.
And so the king went home, but he couldn't stop thinking about Daniel. He was so worried, he had a sleepless night. Every time he closed his eyes, he would just think of poor Daniel in the lion's den. He tried all sorts of things to get to sleep, but none of them seemed to work. All night he lay awake, thinking about poor Daniel, worried and distressed. Will he be okay? Will the lions have eaten him? The king couldn't sleep, so he went very early to check on Daniel.
Daniel! Daniel! Has the God who you serve been able to rescue you from the lions? Daniel!
King Darius!
Daniel!
Can you hear me, King Darius?
You're alive!
My God, whom I serve, he sent his angel, and well, the angel shut the mouths of the lions. I'm fine.
Daniel, you're alive!
God, he's rescued me. He's
Daniel, let's get you out of there. Come here, Daniel. Can you reach?
What?
How'd you come? You're alive!
I'm absolutely fine.
There's not even a mark on you.
The lions, they couldn't open their mouths. They didn't even try and claw me. My God, he saved me. And it's because I've trusted God that I've been saved.
That is amazing. Where are those other two that threw you in there? Seize them and chuck them in the lion's den. Let's be going. Daniel, I can't believe you're alive.
No, my God, he's worth trusting.
Incredible. I tell you, I'm going to write to all the people in my kingdom, and I'm going to tell them that they must worship and honour your God, because your God is the only living God, the one who rescues, the one who even rescued you from the lion's den.
He did, yeah. Well, the story this week is all about putting God first. Now, we've come across this idea quite a lot as we've looked through the Bible stories. We saw last week with Abraham and Isaac that Abraham needed faith, and faith was trusting God and obeying him. But we've thought about that if we're going to follow God, then we need to put him first in our lives. And this week, Daniel shows us what it looks like to put God first. Now, because Daniel realised it was important to follow God's way, he knew that meant he had to be honest. He had to tell the truth. He had to be trustworthy and reliable. He had to be hard-working. He couldn't go to work and be lazy for the king, or he couldn't kind of lie to the king and cut corners. No, he needed to be an honest, hard worker for the king. And well, because of this, the king saw he could trust Daniel and was going to make him second in command. He was going to give him a promotion. And so you probably sat there thinking, oh, well, obviously I'm going to put God first in my life if it means that everything's going to go well and that everyone's going to like me. But remember in the story, not everyone did like Daniel. There were those other supervisors who worked for the king, and they were jealous of Daniel. They wanted the job he was going to be offered. And well, they were annoyed that he never did anything wrong, that he always told the truth, that he always worked hard. They wanted him to mess up, to slip up. They wanted him to cut corners, to tell lies. But he didn't. Now here's the thing about putting God first in our lives. Some people won't like God's way. You see, some people will say, you're fine to tell a lie every now and then, especially if it gets you out of trouble. Or maybe they'll try and get you to join in with them doing something that you know isn't right. And well, if we're going to follow God's way, then we need to tell the truth. We need to do what's right. But that will annoy people sometimes. But here's the thing about putting God first. We need to listen to what God says and not what other people say. Now think back to the story. Daniel's cunning colleagues devised a crafty plan to trick the king into signing a new law, which would mean it would be illegal for Daniel to pray to anyone other than the king. And they knew Daniel prayed 3 times a day to the one true God. So if they caught him praying, he would be thrown into the lion's den, and surely those lions would eat him up. Would Daniel put God first now, even with his life at risk? Well, we know Daniel didn't worry too much. Instead, he did what he always did. He went and asked God for help. He prayed. Now here's the very important lesson about putting God first. Putting God first means God's way is always more important than any other way. You see, the king's way now was that they weren't allowed to pray to God. And the king, well, he was king over a huge kingdom. He was one of the most powerful men in the world. But think about it. God's way is still more important. Because God is the king of the entire universe. He made this entire world. There is no one more powerful than him. In fact, there's no one who even comes close to God in power and in might. And so no matter what anybody else says, God's way is always more important. Now remember in the story, those sneaky supervisors, well, they caught Daniel praying to the one true God. They threw him before the king. And they told the king everything. They told the king that because of the law he signed, he had to throw Daniel in the lion's den, even though he didn't want to. And well, Daniel knew the risk he was taking, but he didn't worry. He trusted God. Now I know you're probably never going to be thrown into a lion's den for putting God first in your life. But people might make fun of you. People might tell you that you're silly for praying, that it's nonsense. People might think it's funny that you go to church. And well, that's something that we've got to be willing to put up with. And that can be difficult. And you know, there'll be many hard times in our lives, especially hard times we might face because we put God first. But remember in the story, did God abandon Daniel in the lion's den? No. He was there with him. He shut the mouths of those lions so that they couldn't hurt him. And well, if we put God first in our lives, God will never leave us. He'll help us through the hard times. When we're scared and feeling alone, He knows exactly how we feel, because He went alone to the cross to die for us, to rescue us, just like He rescued Daniel from those lions. He has rescued us from sin and death. And well, think of the story. When the king saw that God had rescued Daniel, he realized that is the one true God. He's the living God. And well, when people see the difference God makes in our lives, when people see what God has rescued us from, well, they will see that God is good, that God saves, God rescues, that He is the one true God. And so are you going to put God first in your life? Are you going to trust Him no matter what? Because God's way is always better than any other way. We're going to wrap things up soon, but before the end of the episode, it is Crafty Competition time. Now, as I promised, we are going to show you a montage of some amazing crafts that you guys have been sending in. But But first, I thought I would dazzle you with some that we made earlier. So get ready. Be prepared to be amazed. This, from last week's story, is a beautiful sheep. Meh, meh. Look at that. Very lifelike. And if you just keep admiring the sheep, look at that beautiful thing. If you come over here, you can see, oh, look at that snake on the pole. Remember from the story, Snakes in the Wilderness, where he put this bronze serpent on the staff? And then to look at it, yep, that is fantastic. What do you think? Pretty good, isn't it? Oh, do you not think so? Oh, well, here are some good crafts. Well, thank you ever so much, everyone who sent a crafts in. They were amazing, weren't they? Don't forget, get sending in your crafts or whatever you want to make for the crafty competitions, and we will show them in a couple of episodes' time. But the crafty competition for this week is self-explanatory. It is make a lion out of something. Make sure it's not too lifelike, otherwise it might eat you. Wouldn't advise that. But make a good lion and send your pictures in, and we'll see you next time.